In this video, I'll be sharing 6 essential habits for achieving fluency and confidence in your English speaking skills. Picture this, a world where you can effortlessly speak English without the struggle and without the frustration. It's not a fantasy, it's possible if you incorporate some key habits into your routine. I can assure you it's possible because, well, I've done it myself. I started learning English from zero as an adult myself. What separates you now from your more fluent and confident self is action, and more precisely, repeated action, and that's a habit. Now, the 6 habits I'm about to share with you are drawn from my own personal experience in developing my fluency skills in English, complemented by valuable insights from the best book on habits, Atomic Habits by James Clear. So let's get things rolling with habit number 1 and 2. In a very basic sense, we can break fluency down into 2 equally important domains: input and output. Input is what comes in through your ears, that's listening, and through your eyes, that's reading. So habit 1 is all about integrating a routine for English input into your daily life. You can do that in many different ways, and I'll just suggest one possible way that you can do it. And that is watch one YouTube video per day for 30 days. We're gonna make this a 30-day challenge, YouTube video watching challenge, so that you can activate that constant English input in your life. Currently on my channel, I have 40 published videos, so that's enough to last you at least 40 days. But there's also an endless catalog of amazing YouTube videos and creators out there for you to watch. One thing though that I recommend is that you stick with proven YouTubers so that you don't find yourself in this situation where you've selected a few videos to watch, and when time comes for you to actually sit down and watch that video, you realize that it's a boring, bad quality video, and you want to avoid that. So here I'm sharing 10 great channels that you can use for this challenge. You know, you have Mr. Beast, Vsauce, which is big on the topic of science. You have Johnny Harris, my personal favorite YouTuber right now, and a bunch of other channels that are interesting and that cover different topics. So go explore them, be curious, and stick with the ones that talk about the topics that you are naturally interested in already. Another thing that I want to recommend too is that you plan the videos you're going to watch ahead of time. So at least 7 days in advance. A good rhythm that you could use is doing this every Sunday, right? So you plan the videos you're going to watch 7 days in advance, all through next Sunday. And the purpose of this is that so that you don't have to be constantly asking yourself something like, okay, what am I going to watch today? You want to avoid doing that because that creates resistance, that creates a barrier. And when you have that barrier or that resistance point, it's more likely that you are going to accidentally maybe break the good habit that you had going on. A cool way to, I guess, counteract that is creating a YouTube playlist where you can add the videos that you are gonna watch. To make this even more fun and effective, you can combine the power of a calendar and a to-do list. You know, there's nothing quite like the satisfaction of crossing an item off your to-do list. One final thing is the golden rule for this habit is that you don't force yourself to watch something that you don't find interesting. Instead, watch things that captivate your curiosity or that you find interesting. And what's next after this 30-day video watching challenge? You simply keep it going. There are many ways in which you can keep listening, watching, and or reading in English. Reading books, articles, listening to podcasts, watching movies, watching TED Talks, listening to audiobooks, you name it. There are many different things that you can do, and that's habit 1. The thing with habit 1 though is that it's a passive task. That in and of itself is not bad. In fact, it's great. But there is a missing element, and that missing element is that in which you actually do something. You take more of a proactive or active approach, and that's what we're gonna do with habit number 2. Habit 2 is all about adding deliberate practice to your daily routine. One possible way that you can do that is piggybacking off of habit number 1. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take 3 words or phrases that either you don't know or want to remember from each video that you watch. Then you're gonna use a Google Doc or another note-taking app to log these vocabulary items. So take a look, say that this is one of the videos that I'm gonna watch, and I'm going to start off my 30-day YouTube challenge, Why Tiny New Zealand is So Good at Rugby. This is a title that captivates me. I'm gonna like. So I'm actually gonna create a playlist that I'm gonna call 30-Day English Challenge. Let's just call it that. And then I'm gonna save it there. Then I can see that my playlist is here. I've just added one video, but as I said, the idea is that I plan my videos that I'm gonna watch 7 days in advance. So it's gonna look like there are gonna be 7 more videos to watch. And so I'm gonna watch this one, and going back to the document I was telling you about, say that I watched this video and I selected the phrase begs the question. So this is an expression that I already kind of know, but it's in my passive vocabulary, meaning I recognize it, but it's hard for me to actually use it in conversation. So what I'm gonna do, the way that I'm gonna log it is as it's here, like right with the let's say the headline, which by the way I've done a headline number 3 here, and the reason why I've done that is because then it kind of like indexes it on the side, and the title of the video with the link is here as a headline number 2, so that it recognizes the hierarchy, and I can order it like this here. I decided to link the word here so that it highlights it, and it takes me exactly to the part of the video that plays that word, right? Look.
So it begs the question, how did such a tiny country create such a dominant sports team?
So that's the sentence I've logged here. So it begs the question, how did such a tiny country create such a dominant sports team? Here's the definition in bold to make you want to ask a question that has not yet been answered. Then there is another extra example sentence, and then there is another word that I selected, a word, let's say I didn't know, to embody. The All Blacks embodied that new national identity, to be a very good example of an idea or quality to represent. This will be kind of like a synonym. So there you go, that's habit 1 and 2. Now this will not automatically make you go up 1 or 2 English fluency levels overnight. It's not going to be like a fast transition. It's a small habit or a set of habits, 2 habits that will over time have a profound impact in your English, but you have to remain patient and let time do its job. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, consider downloading my guide on habits for English fluency. This guide is a great resource that engages all your 4 English skills, that is listening, reading, writing, and speaking. It also comes with vocabulary definitions, so it'll help you grow your vocabulary as well. And when you sign up to receive this guide, you also get invited to a heroic English conversation to talk about what you've learned from the guide. Let's now watch a clip from a previous Heroic English conversation on precisely habits.
So I'm excited to kick things off with a question. What's the best habit you currently have that helps you boost your English fluency?
Recently, I started to listen an audiobook. It's The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan.
That's awesome.
It is also improving my English, and it is not make me boring.
Every day I try to listen to TED Talks, small TED Talks, in order to boost my listening. I'm not able to understand when I watch an American film, for example. I need always subtitles. So in order to boost my listening skills every day, I try to watch and to listen to TED Talks. The other habit to boost my English is to write every day emails in English. And my goal is also take part in more meetings.
The best hobby I currently have is come into contact in English for at least an hour a day.
The habit I try to continue, it's joining a lot of meetings to practice my English, because joining a lot of meetings, you have someone to speak with, to exchange your ideas, change a lot of information.
That is a fantastic habit, and one that really connects you with not just learning English, but also living it, and you're using it every day in different like groups.
So you heard from a few English heroes there talking about their habits for English input, like listening to audiobooks, watching TED Talks. Now, Ahmed mentioned how he incorporates the output aspect of English into his life. He said that he joins conversation meetups such as the Heroic English one so that he can practice his speaking. That's awesome, and that leads us right into habit number 3, which is all about conquering the output aspect of English. Now, output is the other 50% that completes, this idea of English fluency. Again, input is what comes in through your ears listening and through your eyes reading, and output is what you put out, right? What you say, whether via speaking or via writing. Now, I've talked at length on other videos about how you can solve this lack of practice opportunities problem. Key thing for you to remember is that, hey, it's not 1995 anymore. There are a multitude of ways that you can use to speak English daily or many days a week, even if you don't live in an English speaking country. So we are past any excuses that you can make. So no excuses allowed. So one way you can take advantage of the internet is by going to heroicenglish.com, which is just one of many different ways in which you can practice your speaking. Dare I say, the best one. The good news is I've made this really simple for you. All you need to do is join us at Heroic English and practice your English speaking. And if you join our Facebook group, you can practice in more ways, even more regularly. Check out the links down in the description of this video. Now take a look at this clip as we discuss a big insight from Atomic Habits.
So what's a small improvement you have made recently that may seem insignificant, but has the potential to create remarkable results over time? Like it's a tiny new thing that you've been doing recently, that if you just consider like from now to next week, maybe that thing is not gonna really make a huge impact in your life. But if you just look like 5 years down the road, that small thing is gonna compound and amount to something big.
Since March, I started to work out. I started cycling at home, only
Amazing.
40 or 30 minutes. Until July, I didn't have any progress or losing weight like that. But I didn't give up. But now I'm losing weight a little bit, and also I feel healthier than before. So that's my small improvement in my life.
Amazing, great habits, and great to hear that been active, physically active, and that is super great because that has a compounding effect. We're just talking about that.
There I mentioned how habits have a compounding effect. And you may be wondering, what's that? What's a compounding effect? I'll summarize that with the following statement. The more you know, the faster you make progress. So habit 1, 2, and 3 so far are going to improve a few areas of your English. And when this happens, you are going to be able to better understand English, and this in turn is going to allow you to learn even more and get you further in your English learning journey. So the compound effect, and I think before I said compounding effect, it's the compound effect, just to be precise there. This effect, it's like a snowball. It grows bigger and bigger. And vocabulary learning has this compound effect. The more words you know, the easier it is for you to continue learning and expanding your vocabulary. And as for grammar and pronunciation, they do also have a compound effect that affects more like your overall fluency and confidence in English. Like personally, like you would say, okay, Max, your English is already good enough, but I have already noticed a big improvement from the first Heroic English challenge we did, that is 12 weeks ago, to now, to the video that I just recorded last night. I just feel like it's easier for me to get, what's the word I want to use? Because it's not fluent.
Maybe.
Like fluency, yeah, but it's a little bit more to get loose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Loose.
Be more natural.
Yeah, loose, natural, like I don't want to say fluency because that's already kind of like a concept that general to your English.
To be more comfortable when you're speaking.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, that's true. I noticed my English is more loose 1 hour after I started speaking. Like when I just started the Heroic English conversations like this one, and I've not spoken English earlier that day, it takes some time for me to get loose. And 1 hour into the meeting, if I'm speaking a lot, my English is a lot more, not more fluent, it's just more loose. And I can explain my thoughts a lot more clearly. But now I've noticed probably like one of the main things that I'm doing, but one of the things that I can attribute this improvement to is the Heroic English challenges. I think like it's easier for me to get to the point where I'm loose with my English.
Fully agree. I understood it very well. When I was recording my first video, maybe you didn't notice, but I was so very nervous. I was so stressful, and I was hearing the beating of my heart.
Yeah,
So
I hear you.
it was so stressful. And during recording third video, I felt, as you said, more natural.
Now, moving on, habit number 4 also concerns output, particularly writing. A couple of months ago, I left a comment on English Fluency Journey's video about habits. It got a bunch of likes, and I wrote, everybody says pick 20 minutes per day. That's important, but also write 20 minutes per day. That's important too. I made a whole video around that premise. It's called Want Better English, Speak Less, Write More. Watch it here, or maybe here, probably here, and you'll get my point. So habit 4 is write more. There are many ways you can accomplish that. My suggestion is take advantage of the best online platform for English practice there is out there, Facebook. Just like YouTube and Netflix are great for input, Facebook is great for output. Now, the problem that I found with the advice that other teachers here on YouTube like to throw around is that they would tell you to write in English with the only purpose of improving your English. Just write for the sake of writing and write for the sake of improving your English. Now, the problem with that is that many times means writing something no one's ever gonna read. And while you can keep motivated to do that for a little while, eventually you are gonna realize that that is a little bit meaningless. But when you write with the purpose of communicating and you know there is someone out there waiting to see what you have to say in writing, that then all of a sudden is meaningful, purposeful, and more motivating. So ask yourself, do I know about a place where I can write English regularly and where I'm gonna find people that are going to be interested in reading what I have to say? Do you know a place that meets that criteria? If the answer is yes, go there and engage. If the answer is no, start looking for that place. Again, because I am a facilitator, I've created that place for you, and that is our Heroic English Facebook community. Of course, go there in our group. You are gonna find a lot of meaningful writing practice. Let me show you. So you should know that every week we do our Heroic English Challenges, which is basically a weekly discussion question that we suggest, myself and other members of our community, with questions to discuss during the week. And now Kate here proposed a discussion question. What's a special or like a traditional typical dish from your country? And you can see in the comments here, people are enthusiastic about answering or kind of like reacting with a comment that contains, of course, writing practice, right? Like it's meaningful because, you know, people are going to be responding to you and they're going to be excited about reading your comment. And when you actually post a video, people are going to be commenting on your video, and that is very valuable because that way we are tapping into the power of community, specifically with people that are into the same thing. They also want to build and develop their fluency and confidence in English. Here's another video, and you can look at the comments. Everyone that is really excited about sharing their thoughts, reacting, and stuff like that. This is a video that I shared, and again, you can look for comments and everything there. Another great resource also is our Heroic English guides, because they come with writing practice, as you can see here. These are questions that relate the content of the guide. This one is not on habits, particularly this is the guide on growth mindset. And it comes with a questionnaire, right, with a set of questions for you to reflect and think about your answers to these questions and put your writing skills to the practice. A bonus you get with this is that you can also tackle habit 5 that we are gonna now get into, and that is get feedback. Let me show you. So this is a question that Kate answered, a fantastic English heroine, and you can see here that if you want to take your writing to the next level, ask for feedback from me. All you've got to do is just tag me or share your Notion page, tag me there, and I'm going to come and I'm going to provide feedback to you. Now, this question, for example, are you trying to reach your potential in any area of your life, and how? So I've provided feedback and some corrections and how I would do some things differently. So this is how you actually get feedback, or one of the many ways in which you can ask for feedback and learn by getting feedback. Getting feedback is one of the most powerful ways in which you can learn and make fast progress. But again, the writing practice that comes with each Heroic English guide, you don't just want to write that for yourself and for me to read that and give you feedback. That's why we are also including some of the questions in our group, so that you can develop your answer to a question, and you can see how I've presented it here. We have a Heroic English conversation coming up on the topic of flow. So to start prepping for it, and in the spirit of meaningful writing practice, what are your thoughts on the following? Can you think of any examples from your own life where you overcame a fear by gradually exposing yourself to the thing that scared you? Right? So people are starting to develop their answers, to write their answers, and here's mine. And again, people are replying, and they are excited to do that. So this is again the power of community, and being part of a supportive environment that really you're gonna find people that are there supporting you and giving you encouragement. So that's habit number 5, and we're not even done yet. But just by putting these actions in motion, you are already creating a significant enough adjustment in the right direction and on an upward trajectory. While it may not look like a lot of progress in 1 week, just add a little persistence and patience to the equation, and voila. If you could compare yourself now with yourself after putting in the effort and the time, 3 or 4 months from now, you are gonna notice a big change, and you're gonna notice that you've made a lot of progress. So it's this idea that don't look at your current results, look at the trajectory you're putting yourself on. So moving on to the next thing, let me just share it here. It's all about like brainstorming all the little daily actions, and this idea that we basically are what we do. The whole collection of our little daily actions is what ultimately represent who we are. You should be more concerned with your current trajectory than your current results. If you want to predict where you'll end up in life, all you have to do is follow the curve of tiny gains or tiny losses and see how your daily choices will compound 10 or 20 years down the line. Daily choices, want to highlight that because that's the focus of our question. So let's brainstorm both negative and positive daily choices that currently shape your life. Think about the direction these choices are leading you. Brainstorm, like come up with as many daily choices. And the purpose of this is that you actually become aware of these things. And many times we just go through life without really thinking much about what we do every day. So the idea is that as you become more aware and you ask this critical question to yourself, like, are these bad and good things taking me down the road 10 years from now? Because if I continue drinking Coca-Cola as much as I do every day, I know that in 10 years, my teeth are going to be worse. My health is going to be worse. My weight is going to be bigger and stuff like that. So that's the point, right? And think about your English or your life in general, whatever that is. What's Ahmed, what's a negative daily choice that you have in your life?
For me, the negative thing is that when I haven't the ability to join any meeting, I tried all the time to say to myself that I don't have enough time, but actually I can find the time.
Yeah, totally. We all do that. And actually, well, my negative daily choice is starting my day off with the first thing that I see every morning is my phone, my screen. Now, great, and I think a lot of people are guilty of this. It's something that we all do, I guess.
For me, this habit is also when I just scrolling the phone, and sometimes nothing important is there.
Finally, habit number 6 is again all about the human connection aspect of fluency, building relationships through your English. After all, you're not learning Latin, for example, just to read texts that were written 5,000 years ago, right? I am absolutely convinced that you don't get to higher levels of fluency without first cultivating a handful of meaningful relationships and friendships along the way. We know that at Heroic English because we've already built strong, meaningful relationships and friendships among ourselves. Just looking back at my own English learning journey, I've met so many amazing people that I wouldn't have been able to actually meet and connect with had it not been for the fact that I can speak English. Now, but for this habit, I'm not going to tell you just go out there and start looking, like actively looking for relationships. Relationship is one of the things that you don't actually look for them. You just put yourself out there in a certain way and you have more of like a predisposition, and then you're going to attract the right kind of people your way. People that like the same things that you like, they are going to naturally gravitate towards you. That's what I believe. But a good action that you can take is go on Facebook, join a few groups, befriend people. And when you start to notice that your English speaking circle starts to get bigger and bigger, you are going to feel so much more connected and you're going to find so much more meaning and purpose. And it's going to be more motivating, encouraging, and empowering to continue leveling up in your English and your speaking fluency abilities as well. Anyway, so those are the 6 key habits for achieving fluency and confidence in your English speaking skills. So let me actually recap what these 6 habits are. Habit number 1 is input, watching a video per day for 30 days. After that, you are encouraged to continue with the process and expand that habit of input, whether by like reading something or listening to podcasts or watching movies, you name it, it's up to you and it's up to any creative ways that you come up with. Habit number 2 is adding a bit of deliberate practice. And the particular way that we're gonna do that is taking the videos that we are watching from habit number 1 and taking 3 vocabulary items from those videos and logging them in a Google Doc page and logging the definitions and the example sentences and things like that. Habit number 3 is output, and this might be the most important one because it's the one that involves speaking. So join heroicenglish.com. That's when you can sign up and start attending our conversations. Habit number 4 is also for output and is writing. This whole idea that in order to speak better and more fluently, you should write more, because when you're writing, you have more time to think. And when you have more time to think, you start to formulate things in different ways, and you start to put more thought into the way that you communicate, and that later transfers over to your speaking and you become a better speaker. Habit number 5 is get feedback. Feedback is super important for getting corrections and getting either like constructive criticism or constructive feedback, but also positive feedback. That is great to reinforce the things that you are already doing well and get corrections and little adjustments on the things that you could be doing a little bit better. And lastly, habit number 6 is build relationships, which are a key aspect of your fluency, because ultimately we learn English to speak it with other people, right? All right, so that is it, English Heroes. So go out there, keep rocking it with your English, and I'll see you in the next video.